And we're back. I'm Gary Goldman. I'm the host of the Five Star Food Show. So excited to be here at Gray, Gray, the fabulous accounting firm in Canton, Massachusetts. Being joined by one of the partners there, Mark. Thank you so much for co-hosting with me.
Oh, absolutely, Gary. It's a pleasure.
And today, she is joining us, Tracy Noonan, who owns Wicked Good Cupcakes, an award-winning cupcake company that she's grown exponentially over the years, and she's going to shed a little light on her business and why it is successful. Welcome, Tracy.
Oh, thank you, Gary. Thank you for having me today.
Great to have you here. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your business, how it got started? You started with your daughter, I guess, way back when, right?
Yes. So our business started really as a hobby. We had no real intention of becoming a business. My daughter Danny was the daughter I started the business with. She was my youngest, and she was moving out of the house, and I was about to have an empty nest. So I was a little distressed by that, and I wanted to make sure I stayed in touch with her. At the time, we didn't know this, but Danny was having a difficult period, and we found out that she actually had bipolar depression later on down the road. So I was a little concerned about her leaving home, being on her own. So I asked her if she would take a cake decorating class with me, just so I could see her once a week. And she agreed. I'm not sure how willingly, but she did agree. And we met once a week, and we took this class, and we actually enjoyed it and started posting what we were creating online just to show friends and family. And we actually started to get some orders, and that was kind of exciting. So,
and you didn't have a retail outlet at this?
This was all from the house at this point in time. So what happened was, just to speed the story up a little bit, it grew so much that we had to make the decision, are we going to keep this a hobby and rein it in a little bit, or are we going to go for it and actually make a business out of it? We had reached a point where we were starting to get some corporate orders, and remember, in our home, we could only bake 24 cupcakes at a time, and we were getting orders for 400, 600. So there were all-nighters to be pulled, and
Why was it so successful? What do you think the magic touch was?
I think for us it was word of mouth. Quite honestly, we had a good product. All our recipes were my family recipes. Everything was homemade. People liked the story, a mother and daughter working together, and it sort of just organically grew.
And how did you market it and eventually get to be on Shark Tank? How did that whole process start?
So once we made the decision that we were going to do this, we had no money, of course. So my husband loaned us $30,000 out of his 401k and said, this is it, sink or swim. I'm not going to put us at risk for you two deciding you want to have a business. And we did all of the work. We got this raw space in Cohasset, built it out, bought our provisions, and hired people on occasion with $30,000 to start. So we had to be very frugal and learn quickly how to manage money. And then the reason we started actually putting our cupcakes into mason jars was my husband owned a tech company at the time, and he built a website for us. So as people Googled cupcakes and shipping cupcakes, we would appear, and people would ask us to ship, and we needed to find a way to ship our product that would keep them fresh and intact. So that's when we came up with the idea of canning or putting them in mason jars, and that's what we did. We had the TSA confiscate us like 3 weeks into doing this business at an airport in Nevada. And so we got a lot of national play from that, because here we are, this mother and daughter duo who are now deemed a national security threat, and the news just ran with it. So that kind of gave us...
So that put you on the map initially.
Absolutely. And then
somebody from Shark Tank contacted you, or did you reach out to them? How did it work?
I love the show. So that was, the TSA incident was end of December, beginning of January. Valentine's Day came up. We saw repeat orders, so we had a little bit of proof of concept. So I applied online. I don't even know if they have online applications anymore, but I applied online to Shark Tank, and casting reached out 2 days later. And we went through the whole process, which is a bit daunting, of filling out applications and non-disclosures and $5 million NDAs and all kinds of stuff. So... but it was worth it.
So you're on the show, and how did the whole thing play out, and how has it impacted your business, and what happened after that?
Sure. So we were on the show. What people actually saw was 8 minutes of what was an hour in front of the sharks. So it was pretty grueling mentally because you really had to keep it together and know your numbers, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, this is going to be on TV. I don't want to make a stupid face. I don't want editing to have a field day with us. We have to sound reasonably intelligent. So it was fairly stressful. Kevin O'Leary made the investment in us. He didn't want any equity. So what we settled for was a royalty agreement. He gave us $75,000, and in return, we paid him back $1 a jar until all $75,000 was paid back. That took us 6 weeks. And then ever since then, we have paid him 45 cents a jar, and up to date, we've paid him almost $600,000. So
wow. So it was a win-win for everybody.
for everybody, absolutely.